Hi, it's Lonnie. Welcome to Grace Blossoms for You. Work has already begun here, and I am making page edges with the things that I have printed out and have been sitting in my binder for months and months, maybe even a year. And so I decided today is the day that I am going to use them. And last time I did this, I made pretty page edgings that I have already used up, so I figured this would be a good way to use up some more things. And so, welcome, and yeah, so I like this project because it takes the ordinary things out of my binder and it makes pretty things to put inside my journals. So if you want to stick around, please do so. And let's see what we can come up with together. I started with the base of scrap paper, and I just started with some large things to put on, like large pieces. And then I'm just filling up the little spaces at the end, just to give it some more layers and to add some interest. So there's a leaf in the center of a flower, and a lot of these things I'm trying to ink before I put them down, and a lot of these things I forget to ink before I put them down. But it is what it is, and we're embracing the things that can be today. So there, it's a little easier to see that that's a leaf when it's inked. Okay, so these are gonna go back to the side where they can finish drying. And the thing is, if you don't think too much about this, it goes really fast. So I take my strip, it's about 9 inches, which is the height of most of my journals, and it will be 1.5 inches wide. So it's kind of like a snippet roll, except they're strips, and I'm just putting them down because I have a specific thing I want to use them for. Now this would be a great way to do a master board as well, and then to just cut it up into whatever you need, like pockets. In fact, I was starting to wonder why didn't I just do that, because then I could cut them up as I need them. But I kind of like the things hanging off the edges. To me, that makes it a little more interesting right off the bat. And so I also have some like strips of paper that, I don't know, just all sorts of things in here really that I haven't used, things that didn't print properly, just ephemera that I would put this one under the category of it didn't print properly because it's kind of light, but that's okay, we'll still use it. So, how are you doing today? Are you joining me in clearing up some things? I find I have a lot of things that, you know, I liked them when I printed them, and then I just didn't end up doing anything with them because I'm always looking. I always like to pick the prettiest things that I have to work with, and so the mundane things get left behind, and so that I think is what I've come across here. And that is so see-through. It's actually taped. This is my tracing paper with the metallic gold dots. Still, one of my favorite things to do when I need to relax is just sit and paint those metallic dots. Makes it look pretty. So hopefully I'm in frame. Can't quite see what I'm looking at there, but I saw my fingers waving, so hopefully it's all good. So then I also had some leftovers from my the paper flowers that I made. I made a whole bunch yesterday, filled up my stash, and now I have some leftovers. And I thought, instead of them just hanging around for who knows how long, just put them down. I especially have a lot of these red ones left, so maybe I'll just build a flower right here. And these red ones are made out of wrapping paper, so they're not the most strong. So fun, fun, fun. And let's see, what else have we got in here? I have these tickets that I made a long time ago. I don't really use tickets except for my Jesus is my ticket to heaven printout. I use that one a lot. And if you would like it and you haven't discovered my Ko-fi page yet, then by all means go check that out and download that. I think it's a visual aid, so that's how I think of it. I don't know, the big tickets seem to stand out too much, so I'm just gonna pull that around. Why not? Since there are no rules. And I don't really want that whole thing, so maybe I'll just take a strip. And the paper will kind of disappear, but the gold dots will stay. It's kind of weird how that works, but alright, so I need a little more glue there. And there. And you can always fill up or top up the glue when you go to use these. That's what I would do. I would probably ink them one more time on the outside edges as well. Okay, so this one is needing something in the middle there. I've been reaching into my little dots here, or little box of punched out things. That'll work. So I hope you're doing well, and are having a good month. It was a bit of a interesting time here. If you saw my post about the what did we need? Oh yes, we had a hole in our tire and we thought we needed to get it fixed. And we have this guy that comes around to our house and he does it here, so we don't, it's like a mobile mechanic service, and it's been so handy for us. So anytime something goes wrong, because you know, with what I do for a living, well, not for a living, but what I do with the papers, delivering papers, we do tend to pick up nails and screws in our tires from time to time, and so then we need to have those repaired. So we called him, and it turned out that he had taken some of the winter off and he hasn't returned yet. So my husband Emil decided to try Canadian Tire, which I've heard so many bad stories about Canadian Tire. That's always like my last resort. But we did buy tires there a few months ago. So anyways, they had an opening. It was like they were bored. They had nothing to do, which was weird because it was super cold. And yeah, so he went there and he said they were just waiting for him. They weren't doing anything. I'm just gonna splatter this over my garbage cans so that I don't get it all over the place here. Okay, so not too heavy on the gold there, but that's okay. It shows up when it needs to. Yeah, so he was there for about an hour and the job got done. Well, first he texts me and says, we need a new tire. And I'm like, oh, I thought we were just going to fix the one we had because it was like brand new. Well, almost. Like I said, a few months. So I go, well, do we have enough money? And he goes, yep. And I'm like, okay, if we need it, I guess we need it. So I'm picturing him taking a whole bunch of money out of our savings account, which is kind of a funny name for it because we're always trying to save for the next emergency. So I guess in that sense, it's a savings account. But anyways, then he tells me that there's some kind of a warranty on the tires, and because we bought them at Canadian Tire, it's not going to cost the whole price of the tire. And I thought, hey, that's great news. And then when he comes home, he lets me know, in fact, that it was under such a good warranty and the treads were still looking so good that they didn't prorate it like they normally would. Prorate means that they would give you a deal off of a new one. But what happened was it was so new looking that, and I attribute this to all the snow we've had because very little wear and tear on these tires. Anyways, so, sorry, I'm trying to talk and do something at the same time. Anyway, so what they did was they gave him, after the paperwork was done, of course, it turned out that the tire was free and all he had to basically pay for was the labor. And so $50 or so later, we had a brand new tire and no hole to worry about. So that was a very exciting day, and we got to see how the Lord looks after us. And so that started a little bit of a revelation for me when I read in the Word of God about His devotion for those who look to Him, because we've had to really trust Him about our finances lately. And Emil's looking, well, he's been looking for a different job for a few years already, and it seems the Lord is content to have him stay where he's at right now, but they don't have a lot of work, and so he's been having more time off. And so it's been interesting, but the Lord is faithful, and so far we've been able to keep up with our bills. So the furnace is getting ready to go on again, so I'm going to cut out a little bit and then I will be back. Okay, so I have a few of the strips made, and yes, I could just keep going because I don't know, I just find these really relaxing and fun to do. Plus I get to use pieces that I've had and just haven't got around to using. So this makes 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit now and try some, like a pocket shape or something. So I'm going to grab a different base. I'll still use my scrap paper. Like I said, I don't really want to make a master board, like a large one, because I like things hanging off the side a bit. It just gives it a more organic feel for me, that it's not, that it's a little more natural and not quite so contrived. So I'm just going to make this a pocket, and I'm going to stick this down so it's a little stronger, although it will get stronger with the things we're adding to it as well, so not a big worry. Okay, I'm just gonna ink the edges so that I know that there's ink on there somewhere. I don't know. We're probably gonna be covering up all the edges anyways, so okay. I'll put this on the front because the staple hole is right there. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically do what I was doing with the edge strips there, and that is just laying things down, starting with the bigger pieces. Yeah, I forgot to ink that one, and I think I want to rip the edge over here. So yeah, first piece didn't exactly tickle my fancy, or the first thing I laid down didn't, but it's okay. We're going to put some more ink on, and we're going to put some more pieces on, and it'll be fine. Alright, so what else do we need? Just some Now this was a little pocket. I didn't really care for how it printed out, so just going to rough it up a bit. There, now it looks like a regular piece of paper, sort of. Okay, so I was talking about the tire that we needed. And so I've been reading in a different Bible that's not my usual, but I'm liking it more and more, and that's the Berean Study Bible. And I've been going through the Psalms looking for encouraging passages. And so I'm in Psalms. That's where I don't know, I think of David, King David in the Bible, and how often he had to encourage himself in the Lord. And fortunately for us, he made, there's a written record of what he wrote and how he prayed when things weren't going well. And so I find encouragement in the Psalms. And so I was reading, and I found this word that I couldn't recall that it was there before, and I haven't looked to see what other translations use instead of this word, but the word I saw was devotion. And honestly, for me, devotion was just kind of the word I used to use for the time that I would spend in God's Word. Those were my devotions. And so I start reading, and I'm finding the word devotion more and more. And it's God talking about His devotion for us who love Him. So the righteous, the upright, those who look to Him, those whose hope is in Him. And what I'm reading is how devoted He is to us, how He looks after us. And it's just been such a blessing to know how serious He is about us, about His children. And I mean, I knew some of that already. I mean, it's not, I've been a Christian for many years, but sometimes He needs to, for our sake, show us something about Himself that we haven't seen before. And so that's what's happening these days, is He's showing me His devotion towards His kids. And so I just I'll put a few of the verses on the screen. I think I'm in chapter 30, 31, I don't know, somewhere in the 30s. I think I started seeing the word devotion. Like I said, it's the Berean Study Bible. And I started seeing it in chapters 20 and onward. So if you want to have a look at that, I would encourage you to do so. He's been showing me the areas where it's visible to me in my life. And so I've just been really encouraged. And yeah, so that's been really cool. So I hope that you are encouraged as well. There's been running water upstairs, so I probably have edited a little bit of this out. So now I need some kind of smaller pieces. I like this one. You probably have noticed that I am not very particular what ink I grab, and that's because I love all of them and I like to blend them and use several different ones at the same time. To me, it just makes it a little more interesting when they're not all the same color, and yet they all go together. So I'm going to put that there. Now, where are we going to put the notch? Are we going to have one? I might build one up. So here is the downward line. So maybe if I can put in an upward. Okay, let's use this label. Honestly, I hadn't really thought of making a pocket this way, sorry. But now that I have done one, or am doing one, I like the idea more. I am just trying to layer that in there. Something like so. There, that way, you see here, you can see the notch. Why not? Oh, and I was watching a repeat of Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah. She was making paper flowers, and she didn't like how the flowers were shaped, and so she came along with her decorative scissors and just kind of roughed them up a bit, and I thought that was not a bad idea. So I did my last batch like that, and I just noticed that this could use a little trim as well. So okay, let's see what else. I want something here to just kind of cover that up. This is wrapping paper. Maybe I have something in here that has some shape. That would work. It's faux rice paper, and it takes a little more glue because it's got a rough exterior here, but it flattens out fairly nicely. You gotta press it down a bit to hold it down. I might have to stick more glue in there later, but that's okay. It'll be fine. What else? Lots of circles in here. Kind of like that. This is another piece of one of those index cards that I made. I punched some circles out, which I like. So then there's some gold on there already. And two, I could have stamped on here. I didn't really plan on doing that, but you certainly could, instead of just inking. So yeah, that could be. I do prefer kind of a neutral look, and then just to add some pop of color after. Kind of don't mind that either. It's orange and it's not really fall, but I like color, so. Okay, so there, that will be like a pocket. I'm going to do the same thing with that one and splatter some gold. And two, sometimes I use my fan brush to do a little bit of mark making. That just adds a little more gold. And I don't know, I like it. I just like it. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope it gave you some ideas. Be encouraged, and if you don't know Jesus, consider getting to know him today, because I do believe our time here is short. Yeah, so God bless you, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.